ready to go grab some paper and a pen because we are going to start class and we're going to get ready to level up our mindsets. So hopefully today, before we started, you got a chance to listen to some Sierra, level up, get excited about this because 2019 has a lot to offer us. So I just want to share a couple of announcements before we get started. First, if you haven't already received a freebie from me, if you go to my website, which is tinyurl.com, which is my temporary site, /Beyond the Busyness, you can receive a 21-day guide to a balanced you. So it's 21 days of different self-care tips that you can try over a course of 21 days. And it's completely free by going to my temporary website, which I just posted in the chat. And if you're new to Zoom, at the very bottom, there is a chat box. So if you don't feel comfortable necessarily sharing through your voice, then you can also share in the chat. Okay, so welcome. We just got some new ladies joining us. Welcome, welcome, ladies, to Level Up Your Mindset, Manifesting Your Goals in 2019. If you haven't had a chance to do so already, please make sure to grab a piece of paper and a pen because when we get started in class, it is going to be amazing. So I was just sharing again, I just shared my temporary website if you want to get a freebie. Also, next Wednesday on January 30th at 7 o'clock, I'll be doing another part of this series on retiring the Superwoman cape. Because that is important too, ladies, because if you want to manifest these goals, there's some things that we have to get rid of. So stay tuned. I'll be sending out an email about that next week. And if you are in the greater Houston area, I also have my one-year anniversary event coming up, which is called Girlfriends and Goals. Yes, I'm so excited. And we actually have an author flying in from New York City who is going to be actually sharing about relationships and resilience. We'll be at a spa. It's going to be amazing. So if you're in the Houston area, that is something that you can also check out. And I'll also post that link as well. So without further ado, we will get started. So hopefully everyone had a moment to just grab what they needed to grab. And we are going to get this class in session. So I'm going to share my screen with you all, and then we'll do our official introductions. Let's see. Oops. There we go. Okay. So hopefully everyone can see our PowerPoint presentation here. Can you all see it? Okay, perfect. All right. So again, you know you're here to level up your mindset in 2019. So just a quick little bit about me. I'm Mia Bradford. I'm the proud founder of Beyond the Busyness. And I help high-achieving women go from busy to balanced by implementing simple self-care strategies. And one way that I do this is by implementing these master classes and really helping you to understand how your mindset impacts what you do in life and what you manifest. And I'm also a licensed counselor. So Tanae, she knows me from back in the day when I was a counselor. And I also believe that I'm a change and liberation coach because I want to see women practice guilt-free self-care.
Hi, everyone. My name, again, is Katrina Long. I'm an international holistic healing arts therapist and a certified yoga teacher. So I work with marginalized folks who are experiencing any kind of mental and emotional distress, but I typically work with those who are struggling with trauma or chronic hormonal imbalances. And I help them to find holistic relief so they can heal their mind, body, and soul, actualize their life purpose, and manifest their dreams. And I do this through my organization, Manifesting Me Wellness. We provide services including health and wellness workshops, online and in person in Los Angeles. I'm located in Los Angeles. We also provide mental health services. I am a clinician, so I do provide mental health services one-on-one, yoga classes in the community, and just a number of other healing circles, art therapy, just anything that is outside of the realm of your typical mental health psychiatric services, so that we have options that are different than what we're used to seeing. Welcome, and I'm so glad to talk to you all tonight.
Well, thank you, Katrina. And ladies, welcome. If you just joined us, we are so glad to have you here tonight. Please make sure to grab some paper and a pen because class is officially in session. So ladies, my girlfriends, what are your goals? Okay, so what we're gonna do right now, we're gonna get into session. So hopefully you are not driving, because I know sometimes I'm on these Zooms and I'm driving and doing other things. But right now, I really want you to take some time this hour and really dedicate it to you, because you are worth it. And I know that's something you probably hear like, yeah, girl, you know, you're really worth it. But what's important is that you actually believe that for you, because people can tell you that over and over again, but until you actually feel that in your being, you know, it doesn't really matter what other people say. So I want to take a moment for you to write down your top 3 goals for 2019. And specifically, any goals that you carried over from last year that were not accomplished. So for me, one of mine was removing credit card debt, right? So that's something that I carried over from last year that I'm going to knock it out this year. It's not, we're not taking this into 2020, not happening. Okay, so that's one of my top 3 goals. So think of something that you really, really want to accomplish because you have a personal connection to it, right? You see the value in it and it connects to your overall purpose. So I'm going to stop talking for a moment to allow you to write your 3 goals. So next, I want you to think about how far you got with this goal. So think of it in terms of, 10 percentages of 10, right? Did you get 50% of the way done? So maybe let's say, just because I'm a numbers girl, maybe your goal was to pay off $10,000, but you only paid off $5,000. So that's 50%. Maybe you paid off $7,500, that's 75%. Or maybe you have a weight loss goal. So maybe your goal was to lose 20 pounds, but you lost 10 pounds. So you got 50% of the way through. Okay. So think about how far along you got with your goals. Hello, welcome, Iris. Iris, grab a pen and paper and jump right on in. We are writing down our top 3 goals, and specifically goals that may have carried over from last year that we did not accomplish for whatever reason. So again, we have our top 3 goals, some of which maybe one of the 3 or all of the 3 we started working on maybe last year. And how far did we get with those goals? So give it a percentage. And remember, we want to celebrate our progress, right? So sometimes we think, oh man, I didn't meet that goal, right? And like, oh, I should just let it go. Some goals take longer than the anticipated time frame, and that's why it's important that we have time for reflection weekly, if not daily, so you can actually track your progress and actually celebrate your progress. Hello and welcome. I see I got one of my New York people on the line. I don't know who it is because it's a 718 number, but welcome. Next up, what do you believe prevented you from reaching that goal? So confessional time, because I told y'all this is a safe space. Confessional time, what prevented me from reaching that goal? Traveling. Because I was going around, I was just like, YOLO. But that's not responsible. That's not fiscally responsible. So that prevented me from putting my disposable income, because I did have the money to pay it off. It wasn't like I didn't. I decided to reroute it to something else, because that was also my goal. So I had competing goals. So sometimes that is the reason why you didn't reach a goal. Maybe your goals are in competition with one another. And lastly, what do you believe helped you make progress towards that goal? So I'm willing to bet that 9 times out of 10, you did make some type of progress. Even if it's 5%, 10%, you probably started or did something towards that goal. So what do you think actually got you started and got that ball rolling? Hello, welcome. So if you're just joining us, grab a piece of paper and a pen, because class is in session. And so what we're doing is we're writing out our top 3 goals, specifically goals that we carried over from last year that we didn't finish. And we are, hello, Tana, welcome, welcome, welcome. Grab you a piece of paper and a pen so we can get class going for you. And what we're doing is looking at our top 3 goals for the year, how far we got with these goals last year if we didn't manifest them. What do we believe prevented us from reaching that goal? And what do we believe helped us make progress towards that goal? So, ladies, again, I said this is a safe space, so remember confidentiality. That's really, really important. Whatever happens here stays here. So we will send out the replay. So I just want you to know that too. That's important to know. So that way, if you want to go back over what we discussed tonight, you will have that emailed out to you as well. So I would love if I had a girlfriend who would be willing to share with us, because I believe in collective wisdom. Katrina and I are doing this because we want women to get free, but we learn from one another. I learn from Katrina all the time. Hopefully she learns from me sometimes. So I believe in collective wisdom. So I would actually love to hear from someone on the line who's brave and a courageous girlfriend to share one of your goals. And oh, we got some new ladies. Oh, look in the chat. Okay. Hey, Paulette, welcome. Hey, Racine. Yay. Awesome sauce. Okay. Hello, Iris. Welcome. So if you would like to share, you can either unmute or, Kayla, you want to share? No? Okay. If you would like to share, you can unmute or you can actually share in the chat box. So that's what I was just looking at over here on the side. So would anyone be willing to share with us? Hey, Paulette.
Hi, I'm willing to share with you.
Thank you.
So I didn't have any leftover goals from 2018. Mm-hmm. So I created some new ones. One is what I call being financially successful. What I mean by that is that a lot of times our goals are like to have just enough to pay X, Y, and Z. And, I listen to a lot of Beyond and people like that. And they always say, if you always ask for just enough, you're only going to ever get just enough. So I'm not asking to be, to have enough to pay X, Y, and Z. I want to have a multitude so that there's a bit of excess. Yes. That's what I'm successful, not just enough, but, X times just enough. And for me, I'm ambitious. We're going to say 10 times enough. Whatever enough is, speak it into existence, right?
Amen to that. I am in agreement with you for abundance.
So that's another one. And the other two, I have to be willing to admit, I don't know if they're fair to say as goals, but, I'm working on my spiritual journey. And so just something I need to keep in mind is that every day I want to make sure that I'm making progress towards that, or that I'm staying in that space, that I'm not letting the circumstances or specific events, pull me away from being the person that I want to be. So I don't know if that's really a goal, but it's because it's a space you have to stay in every day, right? It's something that you work on constantly. You never really arrive at a destination per se. But if you practice it enough, things get a little easier and it becomes more natural. So I guess maybe the goal is I want that space that I want to live in to become natural, where it becomes a little effortless.
Right. You want to develop that habit of
exactly. I want to develop that. Exactly. Thank you. And then my third one is to serve others. My business, we talked about that yesterday, as a matter of fact, is I want to help others who want to take that journey to get to that same place. So be of service to those who are interested in taking the same journey that I'm taking.
Awesome. Thank you, Paulette. And, I had a wonderful meeting with Paulette yesterday. This is a side note. I mean, she is exactly about what she says she's about. She was such a blessing yesterday, and she really does want to serve and help others get well, as Katrina and I do. And so when you have those type of goals, I feel like the people who are supposed to be in your life manifest, and it will help you actually get towards those goals. So affirming them, saying them out loud. This is a tip. This wasn't even planned, you guys. I want you to turn your goals into I am or I have statements, okay? Turn them into I have or I am statements. I am a millionaire, whatever it is. I know I keep using money things. Or I am a servant. I serve the women who I am meant to serve. Because you're not meant to serve everyone. We can't. We don't have that capacity. But we are meant to serve select people. Or I am, I am a present wife, right? Like maybe sometimes if you're a wife, your husband is talking to you, or your boyfriend or whoever, and you're not really listening. Maybe you want to be more present, could be something like that. So turn them into I am and I have statements, and record yourself. Okay. So in my phone, I have a voice memo of me having, stating my goals as if they already exist, right? I say, I am credit card debt free. I am this, I am that, So Iris she says, hello, Iris. She says she wants to pay off her debt and have multiple streams of income and be more organized in life. Awesome, Iris. Iris, tune in next week, Wednesday at 7 o'clock. I'll send out that information. We are actually going to be talking about being more organized, because it'll help you actually, paying off your debt and then having time to create those multiple streams of income. So yes, Iris, thanks for sharing. Would anyone else like to share before I turn it over to Katrina? Okay. Well, thank you. Taylor. Thank you, Taylor. Welcome. So Taylor says she wants to continue living a more green, holistic, natural, and healthy lifestyle. She said last year was all about nutrition, and this year it's about reducing waste and working out regularly. Yes, Taylor. So it sounds like Taylor, she kind of started her goals off by learning about the nutrition process last year. Now she's continuing with that theme to maintain, because it's easier to obtain than to maintain, right? So, we may purchase like a home, for example, but it's definitely, it's easy to get it. Well, it's not easy, but once you have it, y'all, okay, the expensive, ooh. I digress. So this is great that she wants to maintain, because maintaining is definitely where the rubber meets the road. So Racine says that she wants to create multiple streams of income that will lead towards generational wealth. Excellent, Racine. And I know that you've actually been working towards this for a while as well. So this is fantastic. Thank you, ladies, for sharing. So again, like I said, put your goals into I am or I have statements. Record yourself saying them, and listen to that recording every night before you go to bed, so that it becomes into your subconscious. So now that we know what our goals are, and we And hopefully you all were able to answer some of your other questions, mainly around what's prevented you from reaching those goals. We are going to, I'm going to transition over to Katrina, and she's going to help you look at what those beliefs are that may have prevented you, and she's going to walk you through a process.
Thank you, Mia. That was beautiful. I love the idea of turning all of our goals into I am or I have statements and recording that so you can listen to it. And I love recording it more than writing it because you hear it in your own voice. And that makes it really real for us. So yeah, I really appreciate that. I do learn something new from you every time. So right now we're going to talk about changing the narrative so you can change the outcome. So we talked a little bit about what your goals were. We had the question of what was limiting you from reaching that goal. How far did you get, and what made you successful? So once you're able to identify what made you successful, we know that you can continue to do more of that thing to continue to make you more successful on that goal. What typically gets in the way is when we're like, oh, what's happening? What is this belief system that's preventing me from having this thing that I want? A lot of times people say, well, if you don't want it bad enough, you won't get it, or if you're not working really hard towards it, then it's because you don't want it bad enough. But sometimes we really, really want those goals, and we have these like limiting beliefs. Sometimes they're like old belief systems that we inherited from maybe even our parents or from past situations that we've been in that just cause us to feel like, oh yeah, I really want this thing, but can I accomplish this thing? For instance, the whole conversation, there's a lot of conversations here happening about being financially stable, having enough money, all of this kind of getting our debt cleared out and all of that. And we might think we really want those things, but if we don't believe that we're capable of accomplishing those things, then it makes it really challenging. So how do we start with those limiting beliefs? First, you want to discover the origin of the belief. So for instance, one of my goals for 2019 is increasing the income of my business. In 2018, I became a full-time entrepreneur. And so I'm really dead set on 2019. I want to build my business, increase my income so that I can fully support myself through this business and have enough to continue to live the life that I want to live. So supporting myself, but also having abundance so that I can travel and have fun. So for me, discovering the origin of my beliefs. So one of the things that prevented me from doing this in 2018 was just the fear that it's not possible, right? Just this fear that I'm not ever going to be able to make enough money to do all of those things because it's just me, it's just my business, it's a small business, or this fear that my gifts aren't big enough, that they're not big enough to earn this money for me. So take some time to really think about like what is this belief and where is it coming from? Some questions that you might want to ask yourself is, what's the first time that I heard this belief? And thinking back, like maybe there was a time in your life where someone told you that. Maybe there was a time in your life where your mother said that about herself, and then you internalize that belief about yourself as well. I know for me personally, growing up in just the culture that we grow up in our society, we are taught that we have to have a job. We have to continue to have a job in order to be successful. I have a lot of entrepreneurs around me, but they've always been part-time entrepreneurs, never full-time entrepreneurs. So part of my limiting belief is that it's not possible to be a full-time entrepreneur and support yourself. And the first time I heard that is just growing up as a child. It was always, what kind of job are you going to have? Who's going to pay you? What is that going to look like? So identifying that. When is the first time you've had that belief? Also acknowledging what is the fear that's there. So for me, the fear is not being able to support myself, but the other fear is that my gifts aren't big enough. Like my gifts won't be able to sustain me. Because this is just something that I love to do, and who's going to want to pay me enough money to do this thing, right? And part of that is this belief system that we have to have all of the education, we have to have all of the degrees, and we have to have huge markets in order for us to earn the money to be sustainable. So that's where that belief system comes for me. Once we're able to acknowledge what is the fear here, what is the limiting belief, where is it coming from, then we take a step back and we just slow down. This process is the biggest part of the process. We have to slow down, like literally stop, take 3 deep breaths, and acknowledge it. What we often do is we say, okay, so I want this thing, I think I can have it. There's some things that I think might get in the way, but it's okay, no worries, I'll just kind of brush it off to the side. But we really have to stop and acknowledge it. And I think the important part of acknowledging it, and what I talk about a lot in therapy, is before we can move through something, we have to acknowledge that it's there. We have to honor that it's there, maybe honor the space that it comes from. If you grew up in a household where y'all didn't have a lot of money and that was just reality, and now you're in a space where you can create more money in your life, it's really hard to say like, oh, I can have all of this money. So honoring that that belief came from somewhere and it served a purpose for whatever reason. But now we can move beyond it. So take a step back, take 3 deep breaths, honor where that belief comes from. And once you're able to honor it and say, wow, like that was a really tough time in my life. Or, wow, these people really didn't believe in me and they really weren't good to me. Or maybe my family was going through a really rough time. So for me, acknowledging that there was a time in my life where I really thought that I couldn't do this because other people around me weren't doing it. And maybe they really didn't have the capabilities. I have more of the capability. I'm a single person. I'm by myself. I don't have children. I have a little bit more room to kind of fall back on things. So just honoring, like, this is something that was real at one point in time and no longer is. And then we work to change the narrative. So changing the narrative, it seems like the biggest step, right? It seems like the step that's like, oh, if I don't change the narrative, then I'll never get to where I want to be. But really the biggest step is stopping, breathing, and changing the way we think about that thought. We don't want to beat ourselves up about that thought. Once we're able to do that, the narrative changes easily. So now I say, okay, there was a point of time in my life, where I wasn't able to make money by myself, where I wasn't able to sustain myself, where my family couldn't sustain themselves just doing the things that they loved. Now I'm at a point in time in my life where I get to make a different decision. And so changing the narrative comes easily because I can say, okay, here I am. This is what I get to do. Okay. Changing the narrative is a lot like what Mia was talking about with the I am statements. So we might say, I want to increase my income for my business. And we might not believe that that is possible. For me, it's my gifts are not big enough. Well, maybe my real goal, changing the narrative, my gifts are big enough to increase the income for my business. I have gifts that are big enough to increase the income for my business. So changing the narrative is more so about acknowledging that limiting belief, changing what that belief is and acknowledging how it makes you feel, sitting with that if you have to for a little bit, and then using those I am or I have statements towards whatever that fear or limiting belief is. Okay, so I want to hear from you ladies, and if maybe you were able to acknowledge some beliefs that you have that have gotten in the way during Mia's segment, and I'd love to help you work on seeing how we can change the narrative for those beliefs. You can share one belief or several beliefs and we'll work through it together. Or if you've already made some changes while I was talking and able to share the narrative, I would love to hear the changes that you've made. anybody wants to share, you can just tap in with your microphone or go ahead and log in the chat. And if no one wants to share, that's okay too.
I'll share if no one wants to share. I like to give other people opportunities.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Paulette.
Well, I love what you were talking about. One thing, a limiting belief that I have or had is that serving others and in wanting to help, I always have that fear that I don't know enough. Like, who am I to be able to help anyone else?
Yes.
You know, like, what is that threshold when you go from not knowing enough to, okay, I now know everything. You know, there's no such thing, right?
Right.
And so that's definitely like a fear or a limiting belief that I have. And I just, when I have that, I try to sit back and remind myself, well, first off, it's not really possible to know everything. So you're setting yourself to believe that.
Yeah.
And whatever I know, whatever stage I'm at, there is someone I can help because there's someone who doesn't know that.
Right.
So.
Right. No, yeah, that was beautiful, Paulette. I think you did a great job with that, acknowledging that it's not realistic. So that's something that I didn't touch on, but I'm actually glad you brought it up. One of the reasons why we have these limiting beliefs is it's just anxiety. It's just fear. And it's just all of these things that we feel like we can't do. And sometimes the anxiety, it's like a reality. Like, it's really realistic that you won't know all the information because it's not possible. No one knows all the information. And to be honest, information is always changing because research is always being done and there's always some new discovery somewhere, right? So sometimes those limiting beliefs are a reality that we allow to prevent us from doing the things we really want to do. So it's not like you will ever have all of the information, and so then you just never do all the things that you want to do because you just never have all the information. Sometimes changing the narrative is just about saying, okay, well, I have everything I need to get started. And whatever I need will come to me as I go. Right? Like you said, whatever information you do have now will allow you to serve somebody in this moment. Thank you so much, Paulette, for sharing that. I think that was really powerful. We have Iris saying, what you said really resonated about your gifts not being big enough. I also feel like I can't help others because I don't even have my life together. Girl, that is so real. That is so real. And then she also said, also the constant comparison to others. That seems like they got it together just because they are doing the things that I want to do. Yes, okay. This is something that I feel like everybody deals with behind the scenes. And one of the biggest things that happens, especially in the age of social media, is we don't get to see everybody's behind the scenes, right? So we think like, oh, here she is doing this mastermind. She got her business. She got it together. Everything's fine, right? But the reality is that same person is probably sitting an anxious ball 10 minutes before logging into Zoom, being completely transparent. Mia and I were having camera issues right before we came on. We were having struggles trying to get me to see her to hear me, like the whole thing. So yes, I think that we get into this constant state of comparison. We get into this constant state of looking at what everybody else is doing and that they have it together and I don't. Iris, I would recommend for you acknowledging where that comes from. Like, what happened that led you to believe that everyone else had it together and you didn't? Maybe there was a time in your life where you really didn't have it together and everybody else around you did. Or maybe this is just your feeling about yourself. Because sometimes we just feel like, oh my gosh, I'm such a mess. I'm always such a mess, right? But we all feel that way to ourselves a lot of the time. And sometimes it's about asking other people around you. You can ask your friends, your family members, like, what are the things that you think I have together? And what are the things that you think I could work on? And I'm willing to guess that they're probably going to say you have more together than you think you do. Most people will acknowledge that for us, even when we don't acknowledge it for ourselves. One important thing that Mia mentioned is highlighting and celebrating our individual and small achievements. So maybe, Iris, for you, slowing down is taking a deep breath and acknowledging all of the things that you've done well. Acknowledging all of the things that you've done to get to where you are today, and seeing if you can utilize those to continue to do the things that you want to do and go where you want to go. And then see how that helps. We have, let's see, big dreams. Can I just say, oh, I lost it. Can I just say this is really, really good? I have the limiting belief that I wasn't attractive because of a unique feature. One day I did have to sit down and ask myself what happened. I realized it was based on the experience in middle school 17 years ago. I am now beginning to acknowledge and change the narrative and perception of my own beautiful. That is so beautiful. I love that. Yes. Sometimes you do have to, oh, hi, Dominique. Sometimes you do have to really sit down and see where that comes from. It's really hard sometimes to acknowledge where our beliefs are coming from, but when we can sit down and look at it and go, okay, where did I get this from? Whose narrative is this really, is a question that I love to ask, because sometimes it's not even our narrative. It's just something we've internalized because we've heard it a lot. Like I said, sometimes it could be an experience that your mother was having. You know, when you were growing up and your mom was really struggling to keep money in the house, and now you've internalized this belief that you can't have enough money. But the truth was, for your mom at that time, she couldn't have that money. That's not your truth. And it may not even be hers anymore. So acknowledging where it came from, I love the fact that you were able to sit down and say, okay, this came from way back when, and I'm not here anymore. And now you can say, okay, well, let me look at my looks differently. One thing that I love about what you said, Dominique, is that you didn't call it like an ugly feature. You didn't call it like an insecurity or anything. Like, you called it a unique feature. And I love that language. Part of changing our narrative is changing the language around how we talk about things in our lives. So yes, you have this feature that is very unique to you, but just because somebody else thought it was ugly or maybe bullied you because of it or looked at it differently doesn't mean that you have to internalize that narrative any longer. So yes, that was so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. We have one more. Tanae says, one of my limiting beliefs is that my goals are too big for me. I've realized now that I wasn't seeing myself as worthy enough to achieve it. Letting go of that story. Yes, that is so beautiful. And I think that that is often kind of like that underlying theme in all of our goal setting. We all have some limiting belief that to some degree says something about us, that I'm not worthy of this or I'm not capable of this. So yes, I think what we are all saying is like, okay, at some point in my life, I didn't think that I was good enough, right? In some way, whether it was your looks, your finances, your talents. But to be able to say, I just wasn't seeing myself as worthy enough. Separating yourself from that belief. I wasn't seeing myself as worthy enough, but now I am. And so part of letting go of that story, Tanae, is saying like, I am worthy. I am worthy of whatever that goal is for you. I am worthy of seeing myself as enough to achieve whatever this goal is. One thing that I use throughout 2018, I will probably bring it into 2019, that I mentioned to Paulette is I have everything I need to get started. And so acknowledging that I am worthy of getting started, right? I'm worthy of getting started with wherever I am, whatever I have. Iris, this is good for you as well. Like acknowledging that this is just where I'm at. And if I'm a mess today, I'm gonna show up as a mess, and that's probably gonna help somebody too, right? Like, but I'm worthy. I deserve to show up in my messiness. I deserve to show up in my limiting belief. I deserve to show up in what little talent I have today, what little information I have today, because that doesn't mean that it's not going to be worthwhile to somebody, and that doesn't mean that I still can't accomplish something further. We do not have to be a full, complete puzzle in order to help somebody else. And if that was the reality, there wouldn't be very many of us doing the job, right? So acknowledging that whatever you have today is enough, and whoever you are today is enough, and it'll help somebody, and you will continue to grow along the way. Thank you all so much for sharing those beautiful limiting beliefs and how you've changed those narratives. Feel free to keep adding them in and we can keep changing them, or if you have any questions afterwards, we can go over that as well. I'm gonna pass it back over to Mia so we can talk about these goals a little bit more and move forward now that you guys have changed your beliefs so beautifully. Thank you.
Thank you, Katrina. Oh my gosh, I just love it. I love talking to her. I just love hearing from her and learning, and you know, I was even writing down my own limiting beliefs, because one of mine, and this is really, really important, I think for me and maybe for some other ladies, is settling, right? You know, you always hear people talking about don't settle. But I did this very powerful exercise, and going back to what Katrina was talking about, where you have to be still. It is so important that you have time set aside where you can actually hear your thoughts, listen to your heart. Because if you actually think back to what Katrina said, you know, when is the first time you heard this belief? I remember growing up as a child, my limiting belief was that I'll never have what I want, so let me just get something, right? And I'm looking at my life and I'm just like, that's not what I really wanted. I mean, it seems good on the outside. Like when you look at my Facebook page and stuff, it seems good, but that wasn't what I really wanted. And I was like, well, why do I keep doing that? It's because every time I wanted something, what my parents would sometimes do is give me a substitute for it, right? And they'd be like, no, you can't have that, but you can have this. But see, I'm going from fine to divine in 2019, and I hope that y'all are gonna come along with me, okay? Because I'm not settling anymore. Now, I don't settle with men, so y'all don't have to worry about that. But in other things, you know. So let us bring it on home with out with the old and in with the new. So again, we already took some time to identify one limiting belief that we have, right? So choose a goal and yes, thank you, Katrina. Yes, that is my slogan, y'all. Fine to divine in 2019. I'm still working on 2020. Okay, thank you, Iris. Yes, okay. Because you know, okay, so this is the thing. Y'all know this is so true. So you know how you go to work or wherever you go, and people are like, oh, hey, how you doing? And you be like, fine. Fine is like, I'm maintaining. I don't really want to talk to you. I really don't want to tell you how I'm doing. But when I actually do answer that question, okay, I want to be able to say, I am great. I am divine. I'm living out my divine purpose. And not to say, you know, because like we haven't arrived, right? Like Paulette and I talked about this. Katrina and I talked about this at length. You're going to have bad days. Okay, you know, we don't want to sit up here and talk and say like, oh, you know, in our head it's always a positive. But if you can just catch that negative self-talk, like, you know, you hear yourself slipping back into this limiting belief, what I try to do is be like, oh, no. I am blank now. That was yesterday or whenever it was. That is not who I am today. And I have to become a believer in me, okay? Because if I don't believe in me, who gonna believe in me? And you know, but sometimes, you know, people do. Some people will see the greatness in you that you don't even see in yourself, but you gotta become a believer in you so you can manifest that what you say you really want. So I just went off on a tangent, but I'm back. So again, identify that one limiting belief that you have for at least one of your 3 goals. So write that down. And my example here, so this is a real life, this is really real. I thought that moving outside of the city limits will make my life suck. The commute is not pretty, y'all, but I figured out a way to get around it, okay? So this was what I was thinking. I'm like, I can't move outside of the city. Why would I do that? I'm single, I don't have no kids, I don't need to live in the suburbs. Well, my fiscal goals did not align with me staying in the city. So you have this new goal, right? And you have a new narrative. But one thing that's crucially important is to see yourself in this space. So my goal last year was to see myself as a homeowner, right? The question I have for you all is, do you see yourself in that space? So if I was to dial it back to a different goal, one of my goals is to be a wife, right? And I gotta be honest with y'all, I did not see myself as a wife for a long time. I thought I did in my mind. I wanted companionship, but being a wife is a lot more than being somebody's companion. There is a whole lot more to it. And if I'm honest with myself, because of all the other things that I want to do, being a wife, I didn't have time to be nobody's wife. He would have divorced my butt because he'd have been like, you over here doing this, you don't have time for me. Like, so can you see yourself in that role? What is your future identity? Like, let's just say, you want to drop 20 pounds. Do you see yourself in a size 20 pounds lighter? Like, do you see, if you right now you wear a 10, do you see yourself wearing a size 4? Do you visualize that? Do you see that every morning? Is your vision board, your vision book, your goals, is it in front of you every day? Because if you want something, it should be in front of you every single day, reminding you, this is what I'm working towards, this is what I'm working towards, right? And then, do you have the bandwidth or the capacity to make this possible? So, another goal that I have, right, is to be flexible, because I cannot touch my toes, and I'm going to be a yoga teacher, right? So, that's kind of oxymoronic, right? I can't touch my toes when I'm going to teach yoga, because I can do some yoga stuff, I just can't touch my toes. So, capacity, I'm like, okay, well, I have to stretch for longer amounts of time in order to lengthen out the hamstrings and the hips and all that. So what did I say? Okay, do I have time to stretch for long amounts of time? Well, or what do I need to remove so that I can stretch for longer amounts of time, right? So you might say you want to practice more self-care, but when are you going to do it? Do you actually have time? Do you need to get rid of some stuff, right? You want to go get a massage every month? Do you have the money? Like, do you have the time to dedicate an hour to that massage? What can you let go of so that you have the capacity to make this happen? Or even with buying a house. Do you see yourself as a homeowner? Do you see yourself, a lot of you guys said you want multiple streams of income. Let's start with what you all want. Do you see yourself managing all of these different streams of income? Right? Because remember, this is time. First, you got to build the income, right? Even if you get real estate, you're going to have to pay somebody to manage it, or you're going to have to manage it yourself. If you start a business, you're going to have to probably be present at the very beginning at least. So do you have space in your life? And if you don't have space in your life, I would encourage you to do what I did. It's called I call it the purpose check. And in the purpose check, I look at all the things I'm dedicating my time to. And I say, does this thing align with my purpose? Yes or no? Does this thing align? Does this thing bring me joy? Yes or no? And if yes is not checked for purpose or joy, I quit. Point blank, period. Now, y'all might be like, oh, Mia, you a quitter? Quitters never win. Hey, don't judge me. But I live on purpose, and I do the things that I know are in line with my purpose. So what I had to come to terms with, you guys, because I was a serial overcommitter, is that everything that is good doesn't mean it's good for me, right? It's good to, let me think. It's good to serve on the boards of nonprofits. It's good. That's great. You should do that. But is it in line with my purpose? Maybe not right now. Right? It's good to help your family and babysit their kids every weekend. But if you're trying to build a business and multiple streams of income, when you gonna have time to build the business if you're busy babysitting everybody else's kids? So you gotta think about how you spending your time, and is it getting you to where you want to go? So that was another tangent, but I felt like it was relevant. So again, you know, if you're thinking about, like, for example here, being a homeowner, do you visualize yourself as a homeowner? And do you have time to look for homes? Do you have the money for the down payment? And do you have credit to secure a loan? So sometimes we don't necessarily have to know the whole entire process. Like building a business, you may not know the whole entire process behind it, and that's okay. You know, we can ask for help behind it, and then we can also, again, make the space so that when we do understand the process, we can actually execute it. And that will lead us to actually fulfilling our goals. And then do we see ourselves in that role? That's super, super important. So the next thing we want to do is really just rewrite our beliefs as an affirmation. So I basically kind of talked about this when I said, you know, I am blank, or I have blank. So whatever your goal is, I have multiple streams of income, right? So this is something that I've manifested a long time ago. I've had multiple streams of income since, I don't know, I've always had a hustle. Even when I was in middle school, I always sold things. So, ooh, Paulette. Yes, Paulette. Wait, let me just give Paulette a shout out right now. She said she just quit an executive director position with a national nonprofit because it wasn't in alignment with her purpose. She felt guilty for a while, but had to remind herself that her purpose is her primary driving force, and the role did not bring her joy. You're very welcome. Yes, I'm so proud of you, Paulette. Yes. So ladies, I'm not saying you don't want to quit on your personal goals and visions, but you do want to quit anything that is not helping you to get where you need to go. Okay? That's really, really important, because we as women are natural nurturers, and you know, we want to help people. We are, I'm sure many of us on this call are in some type of helping profession, or you help your family, or you do something where you help, because that's just our nature. But if we are to manifest the purpose that you know, God has for us or created us for, we have to get focused. I study high performance habits, and if you read High Performance Habits, or you go to High Performance Academy like I did, these people are about that life, y'all. They are focused. Another tangent that I'm going to go on is be careful who you give access to your time. Be careful who you give access to your time, because people will drain you, and people will have you working on their goals while they getting ahead, and you over here helping them. Not to say you don't help people, because that's not what I'm saying at all, because I love to help people. That's why we're doing this. But you have to get clear on and have boundaries so that you can reach your goals. I'm very, very passionate about this, as you can tell, so I hope it's not like too much. But anyway, back to where we are. So we're talking about rewriting our goals as affirmations. So what I had to do, thank you, Katrina and Iris. I appreciate it. Yes, I am hoping this is resonating with you ladies. So what I did, like for my home ownership, right? So this is actually real life. Everything I put in the example, this was me about 6 or 7 months ago. I'm trying to, you know, I had the time. I really did. I don't know how I did everything I did, actually, because I did take naps in between. I'm a big napper, and but I accomplished a lot in 2018. And I said, okay, I was, you know, fitting in viewings of the houses, and you know, I had the money on the side, credit good. I got all that stuff out the way early, but I just could not find a house that allowed me to travel. Oh, because I didn't want to be house broke. That's another thing, ladies. When you're looking at your goals and you're trying to think about multiple streams of income and stuff like that, you really kind of got to be clear what is right for you. And I did not want to be house broke, because I could have bought a house in the city, but then that means I can't travel the world, which is more important to me than having a big old house. So what I reaffirmed was, I said, you know what? If I move outside the city, this is going to allow me to obtain an affordable and beautiful home. So I actually was able to get a newer home, a really excellent rate. My what do you call this? My property value has already gone up significantly. So it actually is working out in my favor, because I built equity already. So sometimes the things that we think may suck, we can kind of, for lack of a better term, we can actually turn them around and see how they may be actually helping us to meet another goal. And I know I talked about not settling earlier. You know, and I love my house. So I don't really feel like I settled or anything like that. But it is something to think about, because sometimes we do have to reevaluate our goals to see if they are indeed what we need them to be. Because sometimes our goals, you know, are not exactly, and then we just course correct is what I call them. Sometimes we got to scale back. So, ladies, I would love to hear. I know we have we have 4 minutes left. So, if I would love to hear maybe 1 or 2 quick testimonials about a goal. Oh, Janelle, yay! So Janelle says she just recently unregistered from her master's program to do something that she felt passionate about for a very long time. Although fear was present, yes, Janelle, in her decision, she did not allow it to stand in her way. You better go, girl. You better do it scared, okay? That's what I am talking about. Oh, what do they say? Fear is false evidence appearing real. Okay? Fear. Remember that, y'all. Fear. False evidence appearing real. Okay? So it's false, right? It's not true. So she also said, she said, finally, I'll be working towards her purpose, which is helping to heal the world. Thank you for sharing, Paulette and Mia. I feel confident about my decision as well. Yes! Awesome. Congratulations to you, Janelle. This is amazing. So, ladies, I'm already seeing a lot of breakthrough going on. And so would anyone else like to share before we wrap up our call? I'm impressed. I mean, I know that, you know, we came and we want to share, but I feel like I am learning from you all as well. So anybody else want to share before we go?
Mia, I'll share my testimony before we go. So as you know, Mia, the beginning of my year, the end of 2018, the beginning of 2019 has been hectic for me. And I had set the goal of increasing the income for my business way back in December. I was like, this is going to be what I'm pushing towards in 2019. And haphazardly will say, you know, one of the things that I had to get over again was that trust in myself, knowing that my talents were big enough and that I could accomplish those things. And I just happened to have some issues at the current position that I was working. It was a contract position. I was still an entrepreneur, but just not leaning on my gifts, leaning on them. So when you said that whole idea of other people having you work for their goals, that really resonated with me. But stuff just kind of started falling off. Things started changing, and it forced me and pushed me to really become full-time entrepreneur, not leaning on any contracts from anybody else. And so now 2019, everything that I've done for the last 3 weeks is like, how can I lean more on my gifts? Because everywhere I looked, everything else was going to take me leaning on somebody else, and that was going to take time, that was going to take energy that I didn't have, and it was going to take away from my ability to do the work that I really wanted to do. And so it became this like, do I lean on myself because I know I can do this, it's just really scary, or do I lean away from it and continue to work towards somebody else's goal? And I think that whole idea of working towards other people's goals, what's pushing me towards my passion and what's just allowing me to live. And I'm tired of surviving, and I want to thrive. And part of thriving is leaning on my talents and my goals.
Thank you, Katrina. Come on through here with the thrive. Oh, I wish I need to make a slogan with that. I'm going to survive and thrive. Yes, glory be to God.
Yes.
Love it. Yes, Katrina. And I know you're going to do it too. I'm not worried. I've been knowing you your whole life, so I know you're going to do it.
Yeah, sometimes you got to feel the fear, but do it anyways.
That's right.
You just got to keep going.
That's right. And, you know, we don't really have anything. We don't have nothing to lose. What do you have to lose? If you think about it, y'all, I know this is a strange example, but Colonel Sanders founded KFC when he was like 69. A lot of these successful people started and stopped businesses. They had failures, you know, all these people like Steve Jobs, all these people. I think, who was the one that founded, I always get Bill Gates and Steve Jobs mixed up. But I think Steve Jobs got fired from Apple or something like that, and then they brought, I mean, we might mess up, right? But it doesn't mean anything. As anything, we want to learn the lesson from the failure. So I'm excited for you, Katrina, to step out. Your gifts are amazing. We got some more shares. Oh my gosh, you guys. And then we're going to tell you how you can find us, because we'll be doing more of these lives as well. So definitely save next Wednesday, same time. We'll be doing I'll be doing a Facebook Live with Candace Stropper of Queen Life next week on surrendering or giving up that superwoman cake. Okay, so y'all definitely gonna want to tune into that. So Andrea says she recently left a toxic relationship. Go, Andrea. Okay. And she said because it was hurting her and keeping her from achieving her goals. I'm so proud of you, Andrea, because that's huge. That took a lot of courage, and I'm sure it was definitely painful in some ways. But see, Andrea chose her because she only got one life to live. And I'm very proud of you for that, even through I'm sure it was difficult. And then, hey, Alicia says she decided to begin her 2 companies, she had to push fear to the side. There were very few people who could support me in my support group at that time, and she persevered. Yes, you did, girl. And her companies are thriving, y'all. So perseverance will pay off, right? And then Iris says a big fear that she had was that she couldn't be a homeowner and that somehow it was impossible, but she jumped in 2018 and was able to do it. Yes! Congratulations, Iris. And so Alicia also says years later, people are still contacting her, talking about how they were impacted by her company's work. Yes, girl, because I know you do amazing work. Oh, you are so welcome, Taylor. Yes, kick that fear out the window, girl. And even when it sneaks back in, you just keep on walking. Move onward and forward. Yes. Oh, Alicia, she is on point with her businesses. She has a STEM camp. Ooh, y'all two should really get together. I like to connect people. So Alicia and Paulette, remind me, I need to connect y'all. Okay, thanks. So Ira says she obtained her LCSW. Congratulations! And she said she was super scared, but she passed that test. Yes, hunty. Yes. Congratulations. Awesome sauce. This is great. Y'all are winning. Y'all already winning in 2019. So really, all y'all got to do is it when those limiting beliefs come. Like, y'all really have a lot of work to do, apparently. But when they do come, just to replace them until you believe it. Because this is not an overnight process. Katrina and I can attest to that. This is a process, okay? I mean, it took me 30-something years. That's all I'm going to say. But I'm here now, and I'm happy to be here. But it was a process before I began to believe that I was enough and I was worthy. And I could tell everybody else they were. But it was hard for me to believe it for me. But now I believe it, so I'm going to share it with the world. So, ladies, I wanted to tell you, well, I'm going to let Katrina tell you how to find her, and then I'll come back and tell you how to find me, in case you want to come back to some more lives.
Thank you, Mia. So you all can find me on my website, manifestingmewellness.com. I'll type it in the chat box. We're also on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you, Mia. We're also on Instagram and Facebook at Manifesting Me Wellness. We provide services here in the Los Angeles area, doing a lot of things locally, and we will continue to provide online workshops, and also hoping to move into more online workshops in 2019, and hopefully getting some workshops going over in other states as well. So definitely check us out, log in, register your email so you can get information about our yoga workshops, our health and wellness workshops, and all of our mental health stuff as well. And I look forward to hearing from y'all.
Yay. Oh, and don't forget, we are doing a live workshop together March 16th from 3 to 5. So if you're going to be in the LA area, save the date. We'll get the information out to you for sure. So March 16th, 3 to 5, we'll be talking about doing a session around spring cleansing. Okay, we'll be talking about finances and aromatherapy. So definitely save that date. And for me, you can follow me, Mia Bradford. I'm at Beyond the Busyness. And I posted So this is me, Beyond the Busyness. You can follow me on Instagram or Facebook. And if you would like a freebie from me, I have a 21 Days to a Balanced You. It's a guide and has 21 days of different things you can check out around self-care. I'm going to post my temporary landing page, tinyurl.com/Beyond the Busyness. And if you're in the Houston area, on February the 14th, I'm actually having my 1-year anniversary celebration at Essential Body Bar, which is a spa. So it's a spa happy hour on Valentine's Day, and it is called Girlfriends and Goals. And you'll be, actually Dr. Paulette, who was on tonight, she's gonna be one of our guest speakers, as well as author Christmas Hutchinson, and we got some goodies for you ladies. So I will definitely post that link for you as well if you are in the greater Houston area. But I do national events, so me and Katrina, we're gonna work that out, but definitely March 16th, 3 to 5, okay? So you can save that date if you're in the Los Angeles area. So ladies, we hope that this was helpful. Let's see, and be out in time to, yes, that's right. So on the 14th, if you wanna come, it's only 6 to 8 because it's a happy hour. And if you got you a boo, you can still go out to dinner with your boo later. You can still come to the Girlfriends and Goals. And it's a limited capacity, so you want to definitely get your ticket ASAP. So ladies, thank you for joining us. We are so happy to have you. I'm actually typing down here in the chat so you can save the date for Los Angeles from 3 to 5 p.m. And we are thankful that you were here on tonight. So have a great night, ladies, and we'll get this replay out to you so that you can watch it again at your leisure.
Thank you, ladies. Have a good night.
Good night, ladies.